Praying for a breakthrough can get quite discouraging, especially because it never quite happens how or when we expect it to. But sometimes God is trying to teach us lessons in those times of silence. And so today I want to share 5 things that I've had to learn, which God may be trying to teach you too. So keep watching. Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, a very warm welcome to you. My name is Lethu, and thank you so much for tuning in. So firstly, I just want to say thank you to all of my subscribers. Thank you so much for being patient with me. I know that I've been away for quite a while, but I'm back now, and I hope you guys are going to enjoy the content that I have in store for you. I also want to thank everyone who subscribed over the past few months while I was away. Our community is really growing, so thank you so much, and I hope you guys are going to enjoy it here. So if you haven't already, please do press that red subscribe button down below to join our growing family. And let's get into today's video. So as you guys may already know, I've spoken about this in my previous videos, that the past 2 years have been really challenging for me. I've had moments where I've just felt like God was silent in my life and he wasn't hearing my prayers. But in those times, I feel like I've learned so much, and God has shown me so much about life in general. So I've had to learn, and I've had to do a lot of growing, and I've had to do some unlearning as well. So today I want to share 5 of those things that I've learned, and I hope that you guys can lean on these things and find comfort in them whenever you feel like God is silent in your own life, or like he's not hearing your prayers. So let's get into the 5 things that I've learned while unemployed. So the first thing that I've had to learn, and the first thing that I've had to come to terms with, is the fact that life is unfair, but you should step up anyway. So the only thing that makes life unfair is the delusion that it should be. So us thinking that life should be fair is actually what makes it unfair. It's not meant to be fair, but we make the mistake of thinking and expecting life to be a smooth sail, for it to be easy, and we get upset and we get resentful when there's some form of resistance against us getting the things that we want, when in reality that's a part of, you know, the natural cycle of life. Life is meant to have its ups and downs. That's how life is, and everyone is challenged to some degree, but we make the mistake and we get into this toxic habit of comparing our lives to other people. So we look at our lives, we know everything about our lives, and then we choose to compare that to that small percentage that other people choose to share with us, the highlights of their lives. And I think that's such a detrimental way of thinking and of going about life, because that small percentage isn't a true reflection of what someone else is going through. It's not a true reflection of their reality. And I don't think that it's a natural thing for people to want to share their downfalls with other people, or the negative parts of their lives, the negative experiences that they go through. And the only reason why I share some of the things that I share is because I'm hoping that it can help you grow, and I'm hoping that it can show you that you're not alone in certain situations. But other than that, it's very uncomfortable, and so I don't think that we should expect it of other people just so that we can feel good about our own lives. Because at the end of the day, the truth is that everyone is challenged, and we're all challenged at different times in our lives, and those challenges look different from one person to the next. For someone, it can look like growing up in poverty. Other people come from well-off families, but they grew up in toxic environments. So it's different from person to person, and no one has it easy. No one has it easy. You may look at a certain situation and think to yourself, I've been through way worse, or I'm going through way worse than that right now. But the reality is that, or I feel like, God allows certain things in our lives based on our strength, based on what we can deal with. And so for someone else, what you think is nothing, for someone else that can feel like the end of the world. So no one has it easy. But it comes down to 2 choices. We all have 2 choices, and I think that's the beauty of life, the fact that we can choose how our lives pan out. So you can choose to be a victim of your situation, or you can choose to be a victor over your situation. And those 2 choices lead you down different paths. So if you choose to be a victim, it'll lead you down one kind of life. If you choose to be a victor over your situations, that'll lead you down a completely different life as well. And when you choose to be engulfed by your negative thoughts and your negative emotions, I feel like that's when you remain even more stagnant in that situation. or in that position. That's how I felt when I was self-loathing, when I was just, crying about my situation. It just felt like it was getting darker and things were getting worse. And I feel that's the reason, because I think that God is trying to do something in our lives, in those dips in our lives. Whenever we experience those dips, those downfalls, or those hardships in our lives, I feel like God is trying to cultivate something within us. And so when you resist that, when you resist what God is trying to do in your life, that's when you remain even more in that position. That's where you remain even more stagnant in your life, because you're resisting what God is trying to teach you, and you don't want to learn and you don't want to grow from that situation. So ultimately, it's up to us. And I've had to learn to accept the situation for what it is, to acknowledge my emotions, and to step up and take responsibility for my life. Because if I don't, I'm going to remain even more in this position. So that's the first lesson that I've had to learn. Let's move over to number 2. Number 2, your reality is a manifestation of your mindset. So I feel like this is where gratitude comes into play. Practicing daily gratitude is so important, because it has the power to transform your thinking, your mindset, and your perspective on things. So for me, it's just allowed me to be more positive and to be more present. And when you're more present, you focus on the things that you do have, and less on your expectations and your fears and worries. So being present and practicing gratitude has allowed me to have a more positive outlook on life. And I've noticed that whenever I am worrying about things, that's because I'm starting to shift my focus to the future. And so I feel like the future is a place of fear, while the present is a place filled with peace. Because I've had so much peace, even in times where things weren't going so great, even in times where things were just unsettling in my life. I was able to have a peace about things in spite of the storm, because I was focusing on the things that I did have, and I was focusing on the present. There's so much to be grateful for. The fact that you're breathing, the fact that you have a functioning brain, the fact that you have organs that are working on their own without you even thinking about it. You realize those kind of things when you're more present. But when you focus on the future, that's when all of your fears come up, because you're thinking about things that you don't have control over, and you're dwelling on a place that's filled with uncertainties. We don't know what the future has in store for us. We may try our best to work for a good future, but we don't actually know if things will pan out the way we expect them to. So the future is a place filled with uncertainties, and it's a place that is filled with things that we cannot control. And the more we value things outside of our control, the less control we have. And I spoke about this in my first sit down video, where I was just saying that I felt like I didn't have control over my life last year. And that's because I was so focused on my expectations. I was focused on the future. I was thinking about the fact that if I'm not where I thought I'd be by now, then I'm definitely not going to have the things that I want to have in the next 5 years. All of those kind of thoughts were running through my mind. And so it just caused me to be even more fearful and to be more stressed out, because I was focusing on the future. Joyce Meyer says that what you focus on expands, because where the mind goes, the man follows. And this is reiterated in Proverbs 23 verse 7, which says, "For as he thinks within himself, so he is." So you can't live a positive life with negative thoughts and with a negative mind. So the mind is powerful in the sense that what we think determines who we become. Because for example, if you choose to be a negative person, if you have negative thoughts and you allow them to consume you, you end up speaking negatively, not only about your life, but about other people as well. And you become a negative person. You're known to be a negative person just based on your thoughts, which have led to your words, which then leads to your habits, because the more you do something, it becomes a habit. And when you're known to be a negative person, that's your character, that builds your character. And the more you're known to be a negative person, the more you lose people around you, the more you lose opportunities. And that's already leading you down a certain path. That's leading you down your destiny. You're basically paving the way to your life. You're paving the way to your destiny. And it's not going to be a good one because of your mind, just because of your mind. So be careful of what you think, because it'll lead you to your destiny. And yeah, that's the second lesson. Let's move over to lesson number 3. Number 3, good things do not come to those who wait. So I want to read a scripture from Matthew 25 verse 19 to 30. It's about the parable of the bags of gold. It's quite a popular scripture. So I'll just summarize from 14 to 18, from verse 14 to 18, and then I'll read from 19 to 30. So basically, there was a wealthy man who was about to embark on a journey. He then decided to leave his wealth with his servants. So he had 3 servants. He gave one of the servants 5 bags of gold. He gave the other 2 bags of gold, and the last one he gave 1 bag of gold. And he entrusted them with his wealth based on their abilities. And I feel like that's what God does as well. He gives us what we can deal with. So after he returned, the one with the 5 bags had accumulated 5 more bags. The one with the 2 bags had gained 2 more bags, and the one with 1 bag had decided to dig a hole and hide the bag of gold in the ground. And yeah, let's read what happened next. So after a long time, the master returned and settled accounts with them. The man who had received 5 bags of gold brought the other 5. Master, he said, you entrusted me with 5 bags of gold. See, I have gained 5 more. His master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. The man with 2 bags of gold also came. Master, he said, you entrusted me with 2 bags of gold. See, I have gained 2 more. His master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. Then the man who had received 1 bag of gold came. Master, he said, I knew that you are a hard man, harvesting where you have not sown and gathering where you have not scattered seed. So I was afraid and went out and hid your gold in the ground. See, here is what belongs to you. His master replied, you wicked, lazy servants. So you knew that I harvest where I have not sown and gather where I have not scattered seed. Well then, you should have put my money on deposits with the bankers, so that when I return, I would have received it back with interest. So take the bag of gold from him and give it to the one who had 10 bags. For whoever has will be given more, and they will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they have will be taken from them. And throw that worthless servant outside, into the darkness where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So God gives us what we need to do what he has called us for. And I've chosen to apply the scripture into my life by reminding myself of the fact that God has blessed me with gifts, with talents. He's entrusted me with skills, knowledge, and useful experiences. And it's up to me, and it's up to all of us to do what we can with what we have. You know, sometimes we look at other people and we think to ourselves, if I were that smart, or if I had this and that, I'd be doing so well. And the funny thing is that there are people who think those same thoughts about us as well. There are people who think that highly of us while we're busy doubting ourselves. And I'm sure it's disappointing to God when we are sitting on our gifts, when we're sitting on our talents, not doing anything or not making any use of those things. You know, when you've been laying on your arm for a while in an uncomfortable position, by the time you get up, your arm has that tingling sensation and it feels numb and like you can't do anything with it. And I feel like it's the same thing with our gifts and our talents that God has given us. The more you sit on it, the more dormant it just becomes. I know that when I haven't danced in a while, in a really long time, by the time I do decide to dance again, I just feel like I have 2 left feet, like I can't dance anymore. So let's not sit on the things that we do have. Let's do what we can. Let's fight. And that's the mentality that I've chosen to adopt. I want God to find me fighting. I want God to find me doing everything that I can. I want him to find me moving. And I feel like when you're moving, that's when God moves as well. When you're doing things to advance yourself, that is when God sees your efforts, and that's when he does something in your life as well. Abraham Lincoln says that things may come to those who wait, but only what's left from those who hustle. Get out of your comfort zone. So sometimes when God is silent in our lives, I feel like he's trying to push us in a certain direction, in a different direction. And when we are pursuing the same thing over and over again, it won't produce the results that God desires in our lives. So for me, I was really fixated on getting a geology job, which is understandable because that's what I studied. I put in a lot of time and effort into it. So it makes sense. But It's only when I started pursuing something else that things started looking up for me. Yes, right now things are confusing and chaotic because of the coronavirus. I don't know where my life is going, but the truth is that that opportunity and me taking that leap of faith, me getting out of my comfort zone, led me to opportunities that I didn't even think would be possible for me. One of the reasons why, actually, I think that sometimes God uses these times as an opportunity to remind us of some of the dreams that we had while growing up. So while growing up, I really wanted to travel. I really wanted to see the world. And one of the reasons why I took geology as a degree is because I knew that it would give me an opportunity to explore new places and see new things. But I feel like with God giving me this opportunity to teach English abroad, that would have given me the chance to truly see the world. I would have been able to travel at a much larger extent compared to, being a geologist here in South Africa, because that would have been restricting to some degree. I wouldn't have had the opportunity to live in a completely different country, to really be immersed in another culture, those kind of things. So yeah, I feel like it requires us getting out of our comfort zone to realize and to remember some of the dreams that we had, and for God to actually take us where He wants us to be. So you never really know where that could lead you. You never know what getting out of your comfort zone could lead you. It could end up leading you exactly where you're meant to be, even reminding you of some of the dreams that you may have forgotten about. So yeah, that's lesson number 4. Let's move over to number 5. There's power and purpose to your story. So I've spoken about this in my podcast, and if you don't already know, I have a podcast. It's called Navigating Your 20s with Lethu. It's all about being self-aware. It's about self-improvement and self-development. So if you're interested in that, you can check it out in the description box below. So I was basically just saying that we may all have a specific qualification, but that does not necessarily mean we're all destined to be in that profession. It doesn't mean we're all called to be in that profession. Some of us may have to branch off into other things which will lead us to our purpose, or to things that are more aligned with our purpose. And I've had to realize this, and I've had to accept it for what it is, as difficult as it was at the beginning. But yeah, I've accepted it, and I've been able to have a peace about it just by seeing the power and the purpose to my story. I've seen how much my purpose has impacted some of you guys, and that just gives me so much meaning. It gives my life so much meaning, just knowing that the experiences that I've been through and the difficulties that I've had to overcome, weren't in vain, that everything happened for a reason, and that it's bigger than me. It's bigger than me, and I see it every time you guys email me, every time you DM me. I see how much my story has impacted you guys, and that just gives my life so much meaning, just knowing that you guys are growing and you're finding healing in my story. So many people walk around with a meaningless life. They seem half asleep even when they're busy doing things they think are important. This is because they're chasing the wrong things. The way you get meaning into your life is to devote yourself to loving others, devote yourself to your community around you, and devote yourself to creating something that gives you purpose and meaning. I also really loved this tweet, which says, every time you hold back from sharing your voice or avoid being seen, you're robbing the world of your gifts and you're blocking what God is trying to do through you. And I've also seen God turning pain into purpose in other people's lives. And it's been such a beautiful thing to watch because of the healing that takes place and the growth that takes place. And it's not just one person, it's from both parties. And I believe that that's the beauty of life, and that's why we're here. We're here to serve one another and to build one another. So it's important for us to realize that this is not personal, that whatever you're going through isn't personal, that there's purpose and there's power to whatever it is. But of course, there's only power to it if you give it power. If you're able to use that to edify people's lives, that's how you're giving it power. But if you choose to resent the experience, if you choose to be upset and not grow from it, that's not going to do anything for you, and it's not going to do anything for anyone else. So yeah, it's all about our choices in life, and I think this is the most important lesson that I've had to learn. So that brings me to the end of today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it and that you learned something from it and gained something from this video. Let me know in the comment section below which one of these lessons resonated with you the most, and if you have other things that you learned in times where you feel like God was silent in your life, please do share that in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you guys. And please give this video a thumbs up, share it, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in my next upload. But until then, please don't forget to never give up on the life you know you deserve. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.